everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name's Charles McGilvray, and as always, I'm joined by Simon Stacey and Jess Keble. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. How you both doing?
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Feel like we're slightly back on track a little bit.
Yeah,
So-
what a difference a week makes, eh?
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, we did lose, but it feels
Yeah.
a lot more positive than the week before.
I
Yeah.
think if someone has said you can take 2 points away from Sale, even without last weekend's result, I'd have been like awesome, because they are like notoriously hard to beat at home. Even last season when we won, we didn't beat them at home, did we? We got close, but we didn't. And so yeah, if someone has said taking the Tigers' performance totally out of it, you can take 2 losing bonus points home, that'd be a really good result. And then when you think about last weekend's the Tigers' performance, it's a really, really good result. I actually feel like it actually bumps up the result, weirdly enough. It is another loss, so I understand people's opinions, kind of seeing it online of, we've still lost another game and that's the playoffs gone, etc. But even if we'd won, I don't think we were a top 4 realistic hope anyway. I just think it was really important to get some form going into Europe, which is where our focus is most likely now going to be. I think they can be really proud of that performance, to be honest with you, particularly after like I said, the week before, having what he must be like Tom James must be a 5th or 6th choice 10 at that point, who stepped up, agreed to step up because we didn't have anyone else. And actually we played so much better than I thought. I still agree with some people that perhaps not having an established 10 might have made slight differences at the end, but we missed some points off the tee. So did George Ford. They kind of negate in a way, but yeah, we came so close. It was just handling errors. That's still our issue.
Yeah.
It's handling errors when it matters.
I actually think we felt a bit unlucky not actually leaving without the win, to be fair, because we did play really well. I was, as you could tell by our predictions last week, me being the biggest known as naysayer, like a 20-point win to Sale, but only because I was still absolutely gutted by the loss to them up the road. But yeah, I was proud of the boys, and we won't mention individuals just yet, but yeah, the star boy did something amazing, didn't he?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we actually left, I think we could have probably won that. And like you sort of touched on there, Jess, I think had we had a proper fly half, right? And that's not to disregard the effort that TJ put in, because what a lad, like, to step up and and to do as good a job as he did. Like, really fair play to him. He's clearly a top quality bloke and talented player to be able to do that in a week's training, right? But it wasn't necessarily goal kicking as much, even though that would have been crucial. It was just the flow and the sort of and having not even a goal kicker but a kicker out of hand. A couple of times we missed touch because just technique wise, it's slightly different getting those kicks to corner. I think Ben Kay mentioned it. When you're kicking in that out of hand, you're kicking straight lines. It's sort of that AFL technique of getting your body weight through the ball, so the ball is going straight where you're pointing. Whereas Mitch kicks sort of with his groin and inner thigh, sort of arc sort of action, right? Which is similar to box kicking, where you use that sort of technique. So it's just those small things and decision making, the line, and just a bit of fluidity that you would get from an established 10, where we had all those opportunities come the last 20 minutes that we probably should have won that game. Sale are a really good side, right? And you look at their forward pack, it's beastly. It's absolutely enormous, and really talented backs. And George Ford and Gus War are really good half-backs, right? So at Friday night, the way at Sale, we just don't win there. And we haven't won there in about 8 games now. But we actually probably should have. So that's the promising. It's sort of the shoots, the grass shoots are starting to come up. Question is it going to be soon enough? Are they going to flourish next Friday night? But we'll get to that.
It makes you wonder. It took a lot to step up and play 10, because that's a big step to jump. But as Mitchell was taking all the kicks, why didn't he? I know it's a different thing. Why didn't he take the 10 shot? because Tom James is a quality scrum half. If he was kicking at post, kicking to touch, you'd think swap him, because it's a lot. It takes a lot to step up to do that when you've never played there in your whole career. They said that on the telly, didn't they? You never ever played there. He didn't do a bad job, but like you could see the difference, especially when you've got such a quality player in Finn Smith, to lose that and then not have I always forget his name, makeshift
Makepeace Cubit.
Yeah,
Makepeace, that's it. I always say makeshift.
we didn't have Furbank, we didn't have Hutchinson, we didn't have Savara. Right, all those that have played, it's four players who have played in that position, all unavailable. And I don't know. I think the thing is, it's all mental, isn't it? Like Dal said before the match, that TJ's almost not volunteer is probably the wrong word, but pushed himself forward to do it.
Yeah.
And if you come in with that mindset, you've got to back him. And he said they sort of used that motivation because he's such a well-liked person in the squad to fight for him, give him the best opportunity to shine because he's been brave enough to put his hand up. There's a lot of spirit, and that shows a good character after the week before, I think. Should we get into individuals? And I think we should just jump straight onto the elephant in the room. How bloody good is the chosen one? Yeah. Oh my God, he's good.
You need an Obi-Wan Kenobi clip there, don't you? So you were the chosen one. To chip over one of the best scrum halves in the Premiership. I don't be tall, but he's quick, and then to have the speed to catch it and dot it down with a Dupree holding onto your collar. It was pretty epic. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, "What is he doing?" And then I was like, "Whoa, that's gonna be a contender for try of the week, easy."
Yeah.
It's funny about Dupree though, because I was watching the pre-match kind of build up to it and listening to the commentators, and they were talking about the 8-on-8 battle, and they were like, "Oh, Dupree is going to be up in his face. He's gonna really, get on him, and he's going to scare him. He's going to this, that, and the other." I said, "There's 1-8 that stood up and above everyone else, and it wasn't Dupree. That kid is not. I don't think he's scared of anything, so I don't think that tactic was ever going to work anyway. But he just left him for dust, didn't he? Really, with that. But no, I think there was. Yeah, they made a big kind of point of that. They were like, Dupree will. He won't leave him alone for 80 minutes. I said, it's Pollock who's not going to leave him alone for 80 minutes. I think you'll find.
Pollock didn't leave him he didn't leave anyone on the squad alone. He was in everyone's face. It wasn't the squad. He's sensation. And it wasn't just the try, which was off the charts, right? The break for the Iogan try, Dingers took the initiative to take the tap, put him through the gap, and then went from about the halfway line to not die with the ball either, stay composed, little floated basketball offload to Colsey to get it out to Manny to score. Like, that he just makes stuff happen, doesn't he? Like,
yeah.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. The hype behind the lad, but he's just literally flourishing. All people always say when you hype up a young kid, he's not even a kid, he's 20, but you know what I mean. It always affects them. He literally just seems to be thriving on it, and it's just giving him like an energy boost. Like he just gets better and better. And he's like, even now, a lot of people, I know it's probably a bit premature, saying, why isn't he going on the Lions tour? He's like, he wasn't even in the England squad at the start of the Six Nations, was he? He's like starting, and he started. He's just insane. He just gives you that. It's that passion, that like just that grit. He's just gives everybody a boost because he's so like, come on. He's just insane. And I hope we signed him to a 20-year contract because I don't want him to go.
He needs a central contract and be signed at Saints for a long time. But yeah, I mean, like the thing is, we lost so much in that forward pack after last year. So much. Okay. Yeah. Waller, Matavesi, Moon, Laws, Ludlam. You could add Hill to the list, right? It's almost an entire forward pack that of experienced people that we've lost, and significant players. Ludlam and Laws are individuals that make stuff happen when we needed them, and came with unreal. Like Ludlam came with so much energy and passion and emotion. It takes something really special to sort of come and replace that, and I think we found it. I mean, Dawson is not one to overhype or anything, right? He's pretty straight-laced when he says stuff. He said after the match, or it might have been after or before the match, he's a player who does things others can't do. He's world class, right? Dowson said that.
The Dowson that has tried to keep quiet and not bigged him up at all. Now he's just like, I can't really keep quiet now, can I? Everyone's seen what he can do.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's realised that, like, I think they were probably conscious at first of, like, we don't know what the effects are going to be with people bigging him up, so we're not going to add to that because we want to kind of try and keep him grounded. I just don't think anything can touch him at this point. So I think they've probably got to a realisation, you know what, we can say this, he's going to be fine, he's going to turn up the next week and we're not going to have to worry about it. But yeah, I think we're really getting into territory genuinely of he's in the Lions conversation. Which is actually ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think, but I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that that group of coaches are thinking about it. Even if it doesn't end up happening, I should imagine he's on a list of people that we need to think about. And if he continues, bearing in mind we've still got a decent chunk of a season left to go. You know, what's that, 4 or 5 rounds of the Prem left to go? Yeah. At least 1 round of Europe left to go. So he's got 6 matches, potentially a couple of extra maybe, to make a statement. And if he's going to continue to do these things game in, game out, then I think he's got to be, even if it's on the long list, you know, even if he doesn't make the short list, which I still think he has a shot of doing actually, but even if he makes, you know, the long list of being in contention, that's a huge thing for someone who's, you know, 20 years old in a breakout season. To be even just in that potential conversation is crazy. But I also think you make a good point of the people, and I know we talk about it quite a bit, the people that we lost last season. And I think that's why I'm a little bit, not annoyed, that's probably the wrong word, but a lot of the discourse online of, like, we won last year, we should be much higher up than we are, much better than we are. And I said, I understand it from one point of view, but I also understand it from the side of, this isn't the same team. Even if there's a core group that's still there, it's not the same team. And I feel like we're forgetting that people like your Fairbanks and your Dingwalls, even your Scott Youngs and your Mungers, other people that have kind of been captain throughout the season, this is new to them as well. Like, they weren't the leaders last year because your Wallers were and your Ludlams were and your Lawses were. Like, they very much were the juniors to those seniors. To make the kind of step up to be, they're all the senior, they're still really young and yet they're the senior members of the squad. That's a huge shift. And to expect that that's just going to click into place immediately. Like, did I think that we would necessarily be 8th this season? No, I'd love to be a couple of places higher. But I also realistically never thought we were going to be semi-final and final contenders even before the season started. And I feel like I just want people to give them a little bit more time, because with not just Pollock, but with the talent that we know that the rest of that team has, it's going to click into place. It's just an adjustment period. And I think, yeah, I get it. Like, the performance against Tigers, everybody hated it. You know, supporters hated it, players will have hated it, and they would have never wanted that to have been the situation. But there just seems to be a lot of kind of disappointment and anger, and I just feel like people need to temper their expectations slightly, but also remember that if we do beat Clermont and we end up with a Benetton or a Cast at home, that's a really, really good shot making it to a European semi-final, which is still a crazy thing for this particular season. I'm not saying that's definitively going to happen. I think Clermont are potentially the bigger test out of the 2 matches we could have. I think they're the bigger test. We've got to get through them first, but there's still a lot to play for this season. There's still a lot of matches to happen, and I feel like it's about building for next year when everyone's a bit more settled where they are and they've played a bit more and they've taken those leadership roles on more often and they're a bit more comfortable doing it, because not everyone adjusts to that naturally. You know, it must be really difficult for some of these guys that have played for 4 or 5 years already, but they've always been kind of the juniors who don't have the attention and the pressure on them, and now they do. And to expect that they're just going to naturally adjust, obviously, like Pollock has naturally adjusted to just everyone talking about him. He's like a freak of nature and kind of outside of the conversation, but I feel like there's still really some good stuff to come over the next few years, but there just seems to be an expectation that because we won last year, we should be doing much better than this, but that's not always realistic. I understand why people feel that way, but you know, it's cyclical, isn't it? It's up and down. It just so happens that unfortunately, right after we've had a big up, it's a fairly big drop down. And so I get it, but yeah, I just want people to have a bit more patience, because that performance against Sale in particular, think of how close we were. We could have beaten Sale in Sale, which is really hard to do. We were in touching distance with a 5th choice 10, 6th choice 10, whatever it might be. there's some really good stuff still to come from the team, I think.
Yeah, we said it before. Last season was Goldilocks year, right? We had the youngsters coming through. We had the senior players still around, and the fixture list went our way. That so many things went right. It was perfect. It was just the perfect combination of factors, and it was a hell of a year that we'll remember forever. Do we want to wait another decade? No, but I think with the squad and the way they've got things lined up, it probably will click into gear and get that sort of run of fortune, but way before the 10-year period again.
Yeah.
Because you've got to think, like, you look at the squad, and I think there's some real keystone players. And how often have we actually been able to put that side out week in, week out, whether it be for injury? Furbank is, beginning of the season, I said he's our most crucial player, right? He's one of our most talented players. He has one of the biggest impacts on the pitch from playing ability, but also the ambition, the vision, the energy, the leadership, etc. Right? And he got his last performance was against the Bulls, which seems like a decade ago. He hasn't had the game. Mitchell hasn't been on the pitch enough. Finn hasn't been playing it enough. Sam Graham, he's such a fundamental player as well, for a lot of reasons of bringing a lot of things together and leadership. When you say we've lost all those leaders, he would have been one of those natural people that would. Yeah, he's not an explosive player of Augustus's ilk in terms of ball carrying. He does a good job, but he hasn't. That's not his game. But he'd bring people together because he's a good leader. And like those things have happened, and we haven't been able to get the team on. You look at how Quinn's beat Sarries after the maybe the management against that Tigers bit. Maybe it was the management, chucking everyone back in, hoping it would stick, and it didn't. Maybe that was not all on the players, but I think that it does stick with the players, but irrelevant.
Like Jess said, you got to think. I was just trying to work out in my head how many club caps did we lose last year? You got to be looking 1,000, probably 1,500 for appearances.
Yeah.
Like there's not many teams that would lose that much experience and then just go, right, we're going to win the league next year. So anyone that's a true fan, that I'm not blaming anyone that's still like only been coming recently, would know, hang on, like you're not really going to be able to defend that. We've got some brilliant talent, but you had to be a realist and think all those leaders. Yeah. And it's not the club's fault. It's just the way it's fell that we've kept loyal to these players. They've been loyal to the club, and they've all just gone, right, yeah, I need to retire now, or go to a different club. And it's just they've all just got one space, and it's just like really not left us in the lurch. But it's just like you keep saying, it's like we've said most weeks, it's just huge players, and like if Pollock can be anyone, like if anything like Laws or Ludlam, they're different quality. We're just going to be blessed, but we're just keep supporting.
I think we all went into the season thinking we were going to be sort of mid-table-ish, maybe challenging for fourth, right? But the problem being, those keystone players, I think, Langdon, Coles, probably Pollock now, Mitchell, Finn, Dingers, Ferbs. We've not had, and Fremo probably as well. We've not had them on the pitch enough to actually get to where we expected to get to. If we had them every week, I reckon we would be pushing, but we haven't, so we can't, and that's sort of that's how it works. We've had it. We can't win every year. That's the reality. That's the beauty of the Premiership. There's been 5 different in the last 5 different seasons, right? So
that's the problem, isn't it, of breeding brilliant talent through your academy. It then gets noticed by England, and they take it away, which is rightfully so. They deserve it, but then it basically screws you over because you're not paying hundreds of thousands of pounds for a foreign import. You're bringing it through yourself. And then everyone's noticing they're so good. You saw against, was it Wales, where we had like literally the whole back line near enough. If we had slight, it would have near enough been the whole back line with Ferbs. That's insane to have the whole back line for England. And we're like 8th in the table. Just shows you the talent they've got. We haven't put it on the pitch. Just that's the way it is.
No, I think we got lucky last year with like injuries. Like, whereas this year the difficulty has been is that we've had first teamers away, but then we haven't had our second teamers available because at one point we had like a list of 16 people that's unavailable, and that's a whole team of people that were gone, and it's just things have just kind of conspired against us. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you just have a year where all your stars are being noticed for England, and unfortunately some of the fixtures, like the derby, having the derby weekend the first week back after the Six Nations was an idiotic decision, whoever decided to do that. I think that just didn't make any logical sense. But then also we've relied on some really, really good talent who would come in and play really well, that has just been missing because we've had so many injury issues. We've had loads this year. It's been probably kind of unusual, actually, how long that list got at one point, and we just haven't had the luck of the draw. And that's just, some of those things are just really outside of our own, anything that they could really do as a team, isn't it? Someone gets injured, there's not really a lot that you can do. Sometimes we were literally relying on third or fourth choices because that is all that we had. And that's not to disparage them, but they don't have the experience, they don't have the week in, week out game time. And so we couldn't expect that they were going to go and turn over, some of these top teams. So it'd be interesting how it works now, like we said, at the end of the season. Can we get a really good run? I think for them, Europe is obviously going to be their focus now, understandably. I still would like us to get a couple of places in the Prem. I still think there's something about being in kind of the top 6 that I really think they should still push for. I'm not saying that they necessarily will. The gap is fairly large.
I think the important thing is to make sure they're top 8, because not to have
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And Exeter, they obviously squeaked past Falcons, right? They're not a great side, but if they take that bit of momentum, and maybe they build a bit of momentum, they get a couple of wins, well, we're in the mix, aren't we? So top 8 has to be their minimum.
No, 100%. But I also think that having watched, and again, this is not to disparage the two teams, but having watched that Exeter Newcastle game, you can see why they are 9th and 10th. It's not to be, I'm not trying to be mean or horrible about them. This is kind of, I always feel like everyone's always saying horrible things about Newcastle because they're always bottom. But the reality is, even from us to them, there's a step up. Yeah. And so I feel confident enough that we would stay
10
8
points.
10%. Yeah, it is. But then also it's like, I think that's a gap between us and the next couple of positions up as well. There's still a lot to play for. I agree. I still think, like, as long as they're in top 8, we can kind of breathe okay for next season. I still think there's going to be an emphasis on perhaps making up a couple of places so it's not quite. But yeah, Exeter could certainly use that momentum, but neither of those teams looked good.
No. It was literally an awful, no offense to them, but it was an awful advert for the game. When you'd watched all the other games, they were absolutely insane. The ones come before it, like the Bristol, was it Bristol and Gloucester?
Yeah.
That game, my God. Like, if you could emphasise rugby, I know it's not the Saints, but my days, there was some insane rugby there. Our game was amazing. There was no point. Then you watch that, you think Exeter and Newcastle is like a last-minute try at home to Newcastle. Yeah, I don't want to tempt fate, and I'm touching wood. I can't really see it. I can't really see us slip into to Newcastle or Exeter, mate. I'll not be honest.
No, I agree, but Exeter have got some talent there, and they could always turn it around. And also, yes, the Gloucester Bristol game was just like insanity. Like Gloucester just tore up, but I wouldn't disregard the enormity of that and the pressure and the intensity of that Falcons Exeter game. Because it had so much on the line. I thought. I enjoyed it as well, but just as much as the free flowing Gloucester, because it mattered. It was important.
Of course,
but
of course. But you just got to think though. Look, if you're at home to Newcastle, I know you shouldn't count anything, but you should guarantee that should be a 4/5 pointer, and they literally scored in there. Was it the 78th minute and snatch it? It was just like
Falcons went there with a point to prove. I know they are the worst team. They can't argue against it. Stats don't lie, right? But they've got something about them, and Steve Diamond gets them fired up. That's for sure. But yeah. Anyway, taking it back to the Saints game, thinking about I want to make a point there that you mentioned but we had I think it was like in the Six Nations we had 5 backs or whatever, or there was a load of Saints players in that back line. What we're not seeing is a load of Saints players pushing. I mean, other than Pollock, let's put the chosen one to one side, put the shiny new toy around the way, and look at what we got. That forward pack doesn't seem to be performing as well as it was. And I think Big Trev's starting to turn up, and set piece wise, it was really good. Line out was good. Set piece was pretty solid against a real big pack of Sale, but on the game line, the physicality, that just seems to be missing. I think, Pollock and Pearson and Angus Scott Young are really fundamental players, I think, going forward, because they are rough, tough, and will take the fight to the teams, whereas our type 5, other than Curtis Langdon, seem to be outplayed on the pitch a lot of the season this season,
Yeah, it's the size, isn't it? We've said it from the start. We literally are punching above our weight in the scrum, and that's down to Ferguson's techniques. Got to be, because every game we're at least 10 to 20 kilos down, and we still. But like you said, yeah, it's one of them. You don't no offense to any bigger players, because I'm a big lad, but you don't play quick, fast running rugby with chunky boys, do you? So. It's not really the way that we play. So they want to get the forwards out, get it going, and run with it. And our forwards can run as quick as some of our backs, as you've seen. Mr. Hafar, he's quicker than most of the backs.
But it's fundamental that you still win those collisions, because you're constantly losing collisions in defense. Like, our defense against Sale was much better, obviously, but it's still not quite as connected as we'd want it to be. But often part of that is because we're losing collisions. We're going backwards. It's harder to get connected when you're going backwards. And I'm not because he's a really good player and everything. But it's a point I made at sort of, I think, beginning of the season, in terms of Kemeny is a real luxury. If you've got a big, solid type 5 pack, that's giving you a really good platform, you can afford to have a play. I know we split our flankers, and we play wide on the pitch, etc., with our flankers, but we really need back rowers who are going to be up in the middle of the pitch, putting in shots. And as good a player as he is, I don't think our type 5 is giving enough of a platform to give him the ability to do what he does best. He wasn't involved as much as you'd want him to be in that Sale game, and he sort of not carrying, because that's really wrong and disrespectful, because he put a shift in and he really put a lot of effort in, and but his strengths weren't able to affect the game.
Yeah.
Is that down to not having? I'm not blaming James, but is that down to not having a 10 that's got the quick distribution? Because he's normally hanging out on the wing waiting to score a try, isn't he? And like before the Six Nations break, he came back from injury, and I think he was our best player. So I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. He offers you something different. But he gives you a line out option as well. Yeah, it's whoever you're playing. That's who you got to pick. That's it, really.
Yeah, and I think when up against those big packs, I don't think he's the right balance, because he's brilliant in an open, fast line game, which is the game we want to play. But when you go away to Sale, it's very hard to put that on the pitch, and I sort of I think for the remainder of the season, like, the balance of Scott Young, Pearson, and Pollock is probably a bit stronger option. And then maybe next season they might have to get the checkbook out and balance a few things up in terms of the competitiveness of the forward pack, and then you can give yourself a platform for Kemeny to get his qualities onto the pitch, because he's a phenomenal player. I told you in the wide channels, we said that before he came, there aren't many better back rowers. He gets shed a ton of work, but that grunt and that physicality, I think we're missing. And it's probably one sale of the game.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
We have signed, they reckon, the next Mooge, though, haven't we? So we'll see. I ain't even going to attempt to say his name, because I can't even remember it. But yeah.
The interesting signing as well in the week was the winger.
I was about to say that, because I wasn't trying to disrespect, but like, I had a bit of a go on the Saints page, because everybody was whinging about the result against them up the road, and I was like, guys, we just signed a quality winger who looks really quick, big, fast, and all you're doing is moaning about. He's like, oh, can we not sign a forward? Welcome the boy to the club. Just like, his family might be reading this. Do you know what I mean? It really annoyed me.
It's interesting. I mean, I know, Jess, you would have been about 2, but so you're a bit older than me as well. Did you go to 2004 Middlesex Sevens?
Yes, I did.
Right, I checked in the program. I've still got the program here. Right, I got it. I checked in it, but I was pretty confident when I saw the name that that year the army tore it up, and they had this collective of Fijians who were just outrageous. They're so good. It was phenomenal to watch them. One of them being his father. Our new winger's signing was his father, Amina Kaskalatsau. He's got the same name as his father.
Wasn't that the year we won it the year before, didn't we?
Yeah.
When we had literally every best player, we got like Carlos and all that, like Bruce, Nick Beale.
Not Carlos, but yeah, it was like,
okay. I was trying to remember. It's a long time ago, mate.
Yeah. But Bruce,
Sharky,
Beale, Andrew Blowers, Shane Drum.
It was insane.
Ollie Ripple, Johnny Howard.
Yeah, I remember it well.
John Slyterm, of course.
Yes, I remember it. But yeah, no, I saw that signing and I was like, I've watched him in the Six Nations, the under 20 Six Nations, and I was like, this boy looks good. And then everybody was commenting is, we don't need a winger, we need a forward. Well, we do need a winger because if truth comes to thing, Charles's best mate, who he picks every week to score a try, he might be leaving. So if he's leaving, 20-year-old who's built like a brick shed house, we'll say, he's quick. I've seen him a few times play for Scotland. He's a big lad, and apparently he looks the real deal, and it's perfect for our way of play. Yeah. So welcome to the club.
Yeah, I think that's an exciting sign. I mean, I don't think he's going to come in and start or anything, and he might do, but it's that position where Seabrook has potentially been our fourth, fifth choice winger, right? At a certain point, that player gets to his prime and wants to go somewhere where he's going to be first or second or third choice winger, right? And he might do that elsewhere, get more game time because he's getting to his peak. Whereas if we can get some youngster who can tear it up in training, put a lot of pressure and become the next big thing, it's the right fit. But anyway, that's looking ahead, way ahead. Let's look slightly less further ahead and think about Friday night under the lights. I mean, it's do or die for the season, isn't it?
Yeah. Say so, mate.
I'm just looking at the top 14 table currently to see where Clermont.
I think they're 6th or 7th. That's why I said I weren't sure if they'd bring a full strength side because they're trying to fight to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's with Clermont, it's significant that it's ours and not theirs.
Oh God, if we were at their place, they would not even think it wouldn't even be worth it. Their ground is like a bear pit. It's insane. Their fans are like, I'm not going to even deny it, the best fans I think I've ever seen at a rugby match. They're just mad.
Yeah,
mad.
They are one of the great clubs, aren't they? Really, they've got a town. Well,
I was lucky to go. Yeah, sorry, I was lucky to go to one of the French finals where they played. I think they played, might have been Perpignan. I might be wrong. It was about 20 years ago, and we just walk into the ground, and they adopted us, and we just sat with them, and they were insane. Drums, flares. It was one of the best games I've ever been to. They're just mental. They're just absolutely mental, and they love their rugby.
It's I think it's the town Clermont. It's Michelin, the tire maker, the big employer there.
Yeah,
and it's like the whole town basically works in the Michelin factories, and then goes and watches the rugby, and it's just it's great. It's very similar to Northampton, just on slightly bigger scale, probably.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Green Bay Packers, isn't it? That's similar. Right, they're literally based at a place. Everybody works in the place they all just literally support the team. It's just like that's their life.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's very similar to Northampton, but not quite on steroids,
Yeah. We don't work in cobblers' shops, unfortunately.
not anymore, anyway.
No, not anymore. We did back in 1900.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Clermont are just you look at the side that they can put out. You think, how on earth are they 6? But then you think, well, that top 14 is such a high standard of league, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the top 2 are Toulouse and Bordeaux, who are not just going to be the top 2 in terms of that competition, but they're not far off of pushing for the top 2 out of the whole European competition, aren't they? So, they're kind of a cut above. And looking at the table as well, that top 3 of Toulouse, Bordeaux and Toulon are pretty far ahead of everybody else. But I mean, Clermont are still in that race for 4th. So, it'd be interesting what they want to do. Is that where they want to focus, or do they want to focus on Europe? Because when you put together, if they don't travel amazingly anyway, be interesting to kind of know what they are thinking about the game. Is it something where they are just going to send a second team because it's an away game, it's the round of 16, they want to save people maybe for the run in there? I just simply don't know.
I'm pretty confident they'll go full go and try and win it, right? But I think it's just a case of, they traditionally don't travel well. Traditionally, French teams don't win away. In their league, they win at home and they don't win away. You pick up a few away wins in a season, you've done pretty well. So the mentality is not to travel well. So, the reason why I think Clermont aren't the side they were a few years back is because you look at the side and you go, it's very much the same. The big players are Yato and Raka and Fritz Lee's still there. Like these players have been there for donkey's years, and it's probably a case of they're just on a bit of a downward to come back up again, and they need a bit of regeneration. A few new players. But
so I was just looking at the squad. Rougery's still playing for him. I was about to say, they're not the likes of Morgan Power and Rougery. He's still in the squad. He's got to be our age, man. He's one of my all-time favourite players, so I'm not disrespecting the man. He's an absolute legend, but I didn't realise he was still playing.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've got they've got a lot of their players. They've been there a long, long time.
Didn't even notice that either. Ex-Saint defence coach and scrum halves. Ian Vass.
Ian Vass is the skills coach, isn't he? Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. Yeah, so he'll want to come and prove a point. But yeah, I mean, I think it's our best opportunity to do something this year. And like you can't look beyond this game. But if we got Castor Benetton at home in a quarter final, we'd hope we could do that as well. But we've got to turn the corner fully. There was a bit of a turn of a corner against Sale, but losing to Tigers, losing to Sale, it's not exactly like we're rip roaring and firing in, are we? We've got to turn up Friday. We've got to deliver the performance that we know is in there. But
I need to correct myself there. I just checked. He's a coach. I was going to say he's 2 years older than me. If he's still playing at 44, that is some player.
Oh well,
he's in with the squad. Their page doesn't really show like ours. They list them all together.
Right.
Yeah.
What's his name? The Kiwi non. Nonu. Was it Nonu who played this week for too long? He's 40s.
He's 40. Yeah.
He also owns San Diego, so he's like a player owner who's now on loan at Toulon. But yeah, interesting. Anyway, I think What are we thinking team wise? Are we thinking Finn comes in and something very similar?
Yeah.
I think that's the whole reason that they rested him this week, isn't it? He'll be there. Yeah, but it had to be one of the any of the first three, and obviously they weren't going to do it for. They were never going to do it for Clermont, and I can see why they kind of split it, didn't they? A couple stayed for the Tigers game, and then some others came back instead for Sale, rather than having it all in one go. Obviously, they said hindsight, considering how we played against Tigers, I'd have just had them all gone. But we can say that now looking back. But I can't imagine there's going to be a huge amount other than that, really. And obviously, like Tom James is then going to be your bench option, isn't he? Really, other than that, I'm not sure it is going to be massive amounts of change. I'm not sure I would make huge amounts of changes either, to be honest. It would depend what they think about, your 4s, 5s, 6, 7, 8s. That's always a bit of a lottery of what they decide to do. I think I can't see any reason that they're not going to let Pollock loose from the get-go.
Like I said, I'd like to see Pearson come in to 7 and Scott Young to 6. I think. Yeah. Yes, Kemney's class operator at the line out, but I think when Scott Young can go on the line out, Pearson can go on the line out, and then Munger and Coles are both line out options. So I don't think you're losing out too much by not having a world class line out operator like Kemney in.
I would agree with you, but you got to remember this is a French pack. They're going to be some big buggers in there.
Well, that's why I bring Scott Young in.
That's why I bring.
I was thinking like Justice maybe, like just a bit. I wouldn't take Pollock off. I just mean just for the weight.
Yeah,
they're going to bring a big pack.
That might be the point. So maybe it comes down to Augustus or Scott Young, or Augustus and Pearson, one of them.
Yeah, I think Pearson starts. He was on the bench, wasn't he?
Yeah, I also do think that. Yeah, big big heavy pack. So all the more reason to unleash Augustus in the last 20.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you
when they're tired.
Yeah, I'd have Kemeny and Augustus on the bench, I think, so that when the game opens up, that's world class coming off the bench to tear stuff up. You know, I think
I'm just a bit worried about being pushed off every scrum and getting a penalty every time. That's all.
Yeah, well, Pearson's a big lad, and Nanga's right down on the two flanks. I think, and you know, you're right. They're just as big as the other two. The one that's light is playing. The one that light, I'd play him at prop if you had to get him on the pitch. You know.
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing. Otherwise, I mean, if Herbs was fit, you wouldn't drop him straight in, would you? So
no.
You know, Hutchinson's coming back from concussion. That's when he went off for Leicester. He had a back concussion. So maybe he comes back into the 23. Or
would you not start Herbs?
The thing is, not had any game time.
Yeah, but
he hasn't had any game time, and he took the fall in training, and it kind of pushed him back a bit. I don't think that's the risk. I don't think that's the risk you take. I think you can be fairly solid with a Ram at fullback, assuming that they stick with that as well. If they swap them back, they've lost their minds. But you know, fairly solid with a Ram at 15, assuming that's what they do.
We probably should comment on that, actually, because we commented it before the podcast, so we haven't talked about it on the podcast. But you know, both you and Simon got your wish, and they swapped Hendy and Rambo for the Sale match, and it probably went the right as you'd expect. Really, Ram was pretty solid back there, wasn't he?
It's just because of his aerial ability. I'm not nothing away from Hendy. Hendy is going to be he is not far off a world class player already. He's just insane amount of talent. I just think at the minute at his age, I think Ram's a better option at fullback because he can jump like higher than Ronaldo can. Do you know what I mean? He's insane. He can catch the ball and land and keep it safe. So I'd just play in there every week.
And he also sometimes when he doesn't catch the ball as well, it's fairly common now, isn't it, for the tap back instead? You just know that he's 9 times out of 10 going to beat the other person just by his height to be able to tap that ball back. I think that just makes the most sense to me. And that's not even, and we'd said it 2 weeks ago before Hendy had the admittedly bad game against Tigers. I was still saying you shouldn't do it. Like, it wasn't anything to do with his performance against Tigers. No. I just don't think they work the best in the opposite positions. I think that's what you need. So assuming that they do that, I would still be starting Ram, to be honest, just because of the lack of game time. It's too much of an unknown, and I don't think you can risk an unknown when you're in a European knockout game. I definitely see the argument because of what he can bring, but we simply don't know if he's going to be able to bring that right from game one. And so I think it's the bench option, assuming he's fit.
It's just the fact that this is probably the game. This is it. This is our season. If we lose this game, there's nothing to play for. So I know he's probably not fit, but he's the captain. He's probably our best player. And he's been out. I know he's been out for a long time, but it was his arm, wasn't it? So he's physically, but his body is still going to be physically up to standard. It's just, I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying.
Yeah, I would. You try and get him on the bench, I think, and if he's available, have him on the bench, get him some minutes off of it. I mean, I think also having Hendy play on the wing, especially in that 11 jersey, is a big factor because with Ollie out for the remainder of the season, I look at it and saying that 11 jersey is now Hendy's for the remainder of the year, right? And when Ferbs comes back, Ferbs goes into 15, and then it gives you options between, maybe Ram into the 14 jersey and Freeman into the 13 jersey.
Into 13, yeah.
Then you got probably the best back line on the pitch at that point. The best players.
Yeah. Saying that, I thought Berger played very well against Sale. He was everywhere. He carried a lot of meters. It's just good to see him back.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I know you can really understand why people love Berger, because people love burgers, but the reason why he brings it, because it's so obvious what he brings. It's pure hard physical contact, right? That and he does it in such a direct and brutal way that it's just great to watch, and it's impactful and it catches the eye.
You lack that.
You look at the Tommy Freeman try. I mean, boom. Just 1-on-1, 10 meters from the line, away you go, Dupree's. I'm coming through, but off he went. But I think people probably miss out on that when they don't realise that Freeman does bring exactly the same because he's so physical.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I think Berger adds such another dimension, doesn't he?
He does. It's literally something we haven't got in the rest of the squad. We haven't got that big bashing centre.
Other than about Freeman being exactly that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I get you, but Freeman offers you a little bit different. He's a lot quicker, whereas Berger's just like smash. He's like the Hulk. We'll call him the Hulk. That's it. He's the Hulk now. Hulk smash. That's it. Berger smash.
I think the difficulty that he'll have, I agree. I love Berger. The difficulty that he'll have is that Dingwall-Freeman partnership is so solid and so kind of unbreakable as a partnership. It's really difficult to kind of see, particularly, like I said, with Ollie out. And so kind of Hendy taking up the wing position and Ram will probably have to take up the other one with Fairbank back. I just don't see... I don't see how you have anything other than, particularly as for the rest of the games of this season, we've got to get our best team out game after game, haven't we? As much as we possibly can, considering where we are, considering, like you said, we want to at the very least cement that 8th place in the Prem, if not get up a couple of positions. And with Europe, it's so important to at least get that semi-final for it to be a successful season. You've just got to put your best team out, and for me, that is, Finn Smith at 10. It's Dingers and Freeman in the centre. It's, Hendy and Ram on the wing with Fairbank when Fairbank comes back. Like that's the best back line for me in terms of together, as not just individuals, but how they all work together, the relationship between all of them together. It's kind of hard to see, because I think Berger's absolutely excellent individually. I think Hutchison is incredible individually. I just think you've got to start thinking about where your best partnerships are for that back line, and I see it as Dingers Freemo.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously international standard centre partnership.
Exactly.
Hutchinson and Dingwall have played together a lot though as well. I think what it is it's horses for courses to some extent, because you end up with a decision of who do you want in the back line, Odendal or Ram or Odendal or Hendy, etc. Because with Freeman, it's if they see Freeman predominantly as a winger, then you probably go, well, it comes down to Hutchinson or Odendal. So it's just what they bring. They bring very different things. How do you unlock the team that we're playing? And to have that options as a coaching group is great. The problem is they've not had that option, as we've said a million times, right? But let's we put it down now. We do need to start thinking about some predictions. Last week, I mean, me and Si unfortunately were correct in our predictions, but we were nowhere near on the margin, thankfully. Jess, obviously you didn't get the prediction right, so it came down to try scorer, and I got Freemo, so 1 point to me. So another point for the overall lead. It's 3-1 with Simon yet to get off the board. But so I think, Simon, we should give you this, give you your first pick this week on that basis.
Cool. I've already done it. I'm going 29-18 and Hendy.
29-18 and Hendy. Okay. Yeah. Go on, Jess.
I'm gonna go 32-25. I have to go Pollock. I have to. And even if he doesn't, he'll still do something else that's incredible. So I feel like it's a win anyway.
It's
unreal.
Fun, those two picks. I mean, I think you're pretty good with the score. I might go a bit more. I might go 36, 23. So it's a bit more of a 13-point difference. I'll stick with Freemo. The man.
I think he's on a personal crusade just to score in every single thing he appears in at this point, to be fair to the lad. So
that must be, I can't remember the game before, whether he scored before the Six Nations, but as we know, he's on at least 6 tries in a row, isn't he?
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Because
with the Tigers game, he was stood down, wasn't he? So that doesn't even count towards his.
Yeah. And so I can't. It's so long ago. It's 2 months ago. I can't think who we played before the Six Nations, whether he scored or not. But it's at least 6. So I'll stick with him. I'm very loyal. You see, I just stick with the people who keep scoring for me.
Yeah.
But no, okay. I mean, it comes down to Friday night. What a game! What a game! Hopefully, a phenomenal atmosphere at the Gardens as well. It could be one of those special nights that I think we're all crying out for this year, because we're sort of a bit hungover from last year still, and I think we're crying for one of those nights. So fingers crossed. It could be an enormous way of getting the season back on track. But thanks very much for listening. I've been Charles. Simon's been Simon. Jess has been Jess. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.